Welcome. This is Comics Cast, and you are watching the Artist Roundtable. This channel is here to promote indie creators from one side of the world to the other. We believe that there are millions of creators that are just waiting to be seen and their stories heard. And this is why I believe this platform is so important to push for you to subscribe and find out these guys and these girls and across the world, and to make sure that you subscribe to this channel on Comics Cast on both Facebook as well as YouTube. So just make sure you guys are pushing that subscribe button, get involved, and then, yeah, let's start the show.
Welcome to the show. This is Comics Cast.
Hey, welcome to the show. Like I said, I'm Joe Tolliver. I'm with my co-host James Dean Anderson. We're going to be introducing some new artists that maybe you haven't seen before. So maybe an actor that you've known, that you've seen in some movies, but you didn't never seen his face. So I love this opportunity to bring different creators from around the world into one room, into one round table, so to speak, and just give everyone a chance to get to know each other, promote some of their work, and just kind of get after it. So. Without further ado, we've got Connor here, who is an outstanding artist, and we're going to be able to look across a lot of the content that he's been producing. His latest thing that he's produced is a cover for Titan Comics for Bloodborne. Kayla Swift is a former model and actress who's done multiple projects, and we'll get into some of her upcoming projects that she's doing as well. Dirk Ellis is your Darth Mauls of the world. So pretty much what I love about this show is I think this is a perfect platform for someone like Dirk Ellis, where we've seen him in so much content. We've been blown away by his physical performance, but maybe you haven't seen his face. And this was a treat for me to come across him and to just chat with him and have an opportunity to get to know who he is. And we'll just expand on that during this program today. And obviously Kevin Porter, the Batman.
The Kevin Porter.
The Kevin Porter. You can find him on so many different platforms. He's a great mentor and actor to so many creatives across the world. And I just wanted to share, just for a second, allow myself to fanboy out a little bit. I think for the most part, I've known and followed all of you guys for a few years now. But one of the biggest things that I wanted to say just live, because I was doing some fan art the other day, and somebody asked me who my favorite Batman was, and I was doing a Bat in the Sun Flashpoint Batman, and it never occurred to me to say, well, Kevin's obviously my favorite Batman. So I was going through all these movies and figuring it out, and I just wanted to be said. There's a story that I watched Mark Hamill do, like an interview once. I don't know if anyone else has seen this, but he was talking about all the other great Jokers that have been around and talking about who was the best one. And at some point, he was talking for about 3 or 4 minutes. And at some point, the interviewer stopped him. He's like, no, you don't understand. Like, you need to stop. And he said, you have to understand that you are the quintessential Joker. Like, people look at you and they think the Joker is Mark Hamill. And I just wanted to say this for the record, live, that I believe that you are the best Batman that has ever been put on screen. And just as a fan service, as well as just understanding the character. And I love what you and Bat in the Sun have done over the years. You've really set a standard across the board for just love of material. So thank you for that.
And I just want to say, I think you're garbage, and I think you should get out. Dude, you're awesome.
Who said that?
You're awesome.
Who said that? Is that the guy in the middle
By the way,
that?
actually, I think you're a good Batman. You are the best Punisher that has ever been filmed.
Yeah, that was cool.
Dude.
Big fan of Punisher as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I should have done a fan piece. I actually, I don't know if you remember this. I did a fan piece with you and the actor does Wolverine doing your peace signs, and I ended up selling that at a con. It was really great. It was a great experience. So it's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, I've been a huge fan of so many of you guys over the years, and I want to make sure that, people that like Dirk and Connor, we get those faces out there that people probably have seen their work. They just don't know who's behind the great work. So
Well,
That
it's
all
tricky
being
with
said.
Dirk because he's masked a lot.
Oh yeah.
Darth Maul, Darth Maul, heavy paint, lots of face paint, serious makeup.
Well, there was a
How much
team
time does it take? Hey,
almost
Dirk, how long does it take to go in the makeup chair?
Oh boy, I have spent days and weeks and months in makeup chairs. My shortest time doing Darth Maul, because I did Darth Maul also for Disney World in Orlando as well before I did it for Bat in the Sun, and the shortest time would probably be 2 to 2.5 hours in the makeup chair, and the longest time I spent in the makeup chair was for the Darth Maul of that episode with Bat in the Sun, and that one took I think 7 hours to create. So yeah, I've spent a lot of time in makeup chairs.
So what was the deal behind there was a chance where you almost were a Terminator. I finally actually tracked down that video that you guys told me about yesterday. I thought that was pretty wild. And you were still going to be under a mask at that point. How did that go? How was the CG behind that? That was pretty wild. But that was your voice.
First of all, am I coming in clear right now?
Yeah, you're pretty clear.
Is my internet working good?
No, it's pretty good. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, it was a year, last year, I think. I can't remember exactly when it was, but Bat in the Sun, Aaron Schonke contacted me about possibly playing the Terminator for a future beatdown. And he just said, just get as big and bulky as you can, as quick as you can, which I did. I started. But he also wanted me to send him a video of what I currently looked like, shirtless, and do a shot as the Terminator and maybe say a line and send him the video. And this was when deep fake was getting really, really popular, or whatever it's called, where they insert the CGI face on you. Mm-hmm. And they were interested in doing something like that and using me as the Terminator. So I went home and I filmed a video and I sent it to him, and I didn't really think much of it. And then a week later, Aaron texted me and he said, "Wow, look at this." And he sent me the video, and I was blown away that they were able to match my skin tone and Terminator skin tone and put his face on mine. It was freaky.
Were they just using tracking points? Is that what they were doing?
Probably, yeah.
I
were you
so.
wearing tracking points so that they could match it up?
No,
I was wearing nothing.
Wow.
I was wearing nothing. I was right outside of my car out here filming the video, just as I am, without a shirt on and doing an Arnold impression, and it looked amazing. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited.
Yeah, it looked really flawless too, which means they're getting pretty creepy good at it.
Right. Yeah.
How
did you start?
Usually you can kind of see it. We're like, I can see the deep fake. Like I get it. It's cool, but you get it. Nah, man, that was pretty flawless.
Away.
How did you link in with
whoever did that?
How did you get started with Bat in the Sun, and even before that, when did you really start getting into acting? Like, what was your big startup point?
Well, I have always wanted to be an actor ever since I was a very little kid. I always wanted to be in the film industry since I was a very little kid. When I was a little kid, my favorite show on television was called Movie Magic, which was a show on Discovery Channel that talked about how they made practical and special effects behind the scenes and how they did all that crazy stuff we see in the movies. As I got older, I got into theater. College, I studied drama. And when I finally moved to Florida and I got into entertainment, was when it started picking up traction. And I traveled the world, with theme parks, wondering when I was going to find the right time to move out to California to pursue the acting career. So it kind of was a culmination of my entire life. I've been wanting to be in the film industry, whether it was a capacity of acting, directing, writing, producing, whatever. I thought at first I just wanted to be an actor, but coming to terms, I now want to be more of a director and an actor. So, it's hard to say when that starting point was, but it kind of just developed over my life.
Right.
Grew.
Kayla, you were working. You have an upcoming show. Let me see here. I have to look at my notes, make sure I'm saying it right. So you worked specifically on Devil's Reach originally as a lead. You took the lead on that.
I did.
You have some upcoming projects going on. What's going on with you?
I do. So I have a couple indie movies that I'm working on right now. One of them I'm producing, which is really challenging and really cool at the same time. I'm sure both of you guys know about that. And I'm also going to be a part of a show that I can't say anything about, unfortunately, except that it's under a major streaming service. So you guys will see it, and I will keep you updated as that goes.
I think there's a question you had from Instagram. I did not write down the person's name. I should have. That's on me. But they asked, and this goes across everybody who does all the physical work. They asked, like, how do you prepare for those physical roles when you're going out there and kicking butt and, knocking down doors and stuff?
Gotcha. So the Devil's Reach movie that I did, it's called Into the Devil's Reach. They actually prepared me, so I was really lucky about that. I got to work with a stunt coordinator privately for 3 months before the shoot. And so we learned all the fight sequences before we went, except for the ones that we threw in there spontaneously, of course, to account for other actors once we got to set. But he taught me like hand-to-hand combat. I had already known sword combat. I learned guns with him, which was really nice and challenging. And so going into the set, I felt extremely prepared, like it was second nature. So all I really had to worry about was the acting, except when my body started to like physically tire, then we ran into some challenges.
And you're in California now, right?
I am, yeah, I'm in Los Angeles.
So you went to Los Angeles originally to be a model?
I did, yeah.
And then things changed. How did that happen?
So it's a funny story. So I moved to LA for modeling. Acting was horrifying to me. I've always been very shy. I was like, please don't make me speak on camera. I will use my face and my body, but don't make me do it. And I got really lucky when I moved out here with a billboard campaign. And so my dad came in town to see the billboard, and he, to my horror, stood underneath it with a sign, like a giant poster that said, this is my daughter, she needs an agent. And I got called. But I got called.
That's great. That's great. And you know what? You got the call, so it worked.
I was horrified. I was so mad at him. He stood, the billboard was at Hollywood and Highland. Oh my God.
Yes.
There it is.
Hollywood and Highland, so a huge intersection. He stood underneath it for like 4 hours. And I got called by an acting agent, actually. And they were like, have you ever thought about acting? And I was like, no, like 100% modeling, not at all. And they were like, just come into our office, do a read. So I went in there, I did a read. And they were like, you know what, let's develop you. So they started sending me to classes. And I had my first audition, which was actually for Kevin. I don't know if he remembers that.
And what role was it? What did you audition for? What was the role?
So I was auditioning to play
Say Darth Maul. Say Darth Maul.
Darth Maul. The live Wonder Woman at
Shave your head.
Yeah. And you know what? It was just such a positive experience. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't know what sides were. I'm pretty sure he told me to stop shaking at one point during one of the callbacks. But like he was so nice, and like everyone there, even the other actors, were so nice, which is so different from modeling, right? I was like, this is it. Like, this is my community. These are my people. And I felt so much more expressive being able to use my voice instead of just a picture.
Yeah, right.
So thank you, Kevin.
Yeah. It was good.
I remember that very well. And you were absolutely my favorite the second that you walked in. And to me, the perfect Wonder Woman. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so I actually saw a cosplay of you as Wonder Woman because you had photos up, and I'm like,
yeah,
she's more Wonder Woman than the girl that we ended up getting for Wonder Woman. And Gal Gadot, like people didn't know she would be tough enough. And I was telling Dirk yesterday, I was like, well, actually, she was a self-defense trainer for the Israeli Defense Forces. Like she was in the army, as everyone is, but she kicks total butt. But the thing is, she also weighs, she's like 6'2" and 12 pounds. And so they were like, well, how do we, put it on? So in her case, they had to bulk her up, which is usually kind of the opposite for women when they're going to put them in spandex or something really tight like that. And she had been a runway model. As a matter of fact, that was her job. She was a model, and then she got into acting and just blew up. But she did that movie pregnant part of it, and has her baby right after the filming is done, basically. But I mean, I think she was 6 months pregnant at one point, while she was like still finishing up some of the scenes of it, and where they just had to like cut different certain scenes. And you look at what women kind of go through, and you're like, yeah, we don't have to deal with that. I get it. I'm fat, but I'm fat because I choose to be. It isn't because like, once a month I just kind of gain some weight for fun. Like my poor wife will look at me, like she'll come in and she'll talk to me, and she'll just be like, yeah, so I found 5 pounds, and I don't know how. And and you could see because she was a Muay Thai kickboxer. So for her, like just gaining a pound or two, it just throws off her brain. And when we're not on camera every day, like I look like an Irish potato. That's cool. I am an Irish potato. That's fine. What's up, Connor? Shout out, Ireland. Yeah, my mom was a Kennedy, so very Irish. Dirk has to stay in shape. But we were talking yesterday about him not being able to gain weight because he would do so much training. So, Dirk, how many hours would you have to spend when you were doing that with like Orlando, and you said Hong Kong, you said different places you were doing that? When you're out there portraying a character, you're wearing a costume and you're being physical all day. Like, how do you? Honestly, I don't even know how you stay on point. Like how guys keep any weight on when they're doing that. This seems like it's a lot of cardio and in a costume.
It took me years to figure it out. I guess maybe not only just the training aspect, but it took me years to figure out my own body. Because back in the day when I worked for Disney World Orlando, which was the first theme park out of 7 that I worked for in 8 years, I was doing Power Rangers, and I wanted to bulk up because though I fit the character, I wanted to be in even better shape than I was currently at. So I was going to the gym. I was honestly going whenever I could find the time. And if that meant going after work or before work at 5:30 in the morning, I would get up and do it. And I would spend at least, I would try to go in there for 45 minutes to an hour, but it ended up being an hour and a half. And I didn't do a lot of cardio back then because I was getting so much at work. I was doing Power Rangers, and I was doing somewhere between, I don't remember, 5 to 8 sets a day of lunges and martial arts in the hot Florida heat, in spandex, in boots, on concrete, for every single person I met. So after a year's time, I remember a 1 year time of joining Gold's Gym, I had only put on 3 pounds, and I was working out like a madman. So I started asking bodybuilders and professionals, why am I not gaining weight? And they said, you're doing a lot of cardio work at work, and it's just burning everything off. So I had to learn ways around that, how I can eat the right foods certain times of the day, how much maybe I need to lift heavier. And I experimented with a lot, and I finally found my groove. But it took a long time to get to understand my body and how it works with the food I'm eating and my age at the time and the weights I was lifting. It's a science. And yeah, I pretty much had to be prepared year round because I was getting a lot of roles that required physicality, like Tarzan, Darth Maul, Power Rangers, now Deadpool. I'm always doing Deadpool for Bat in the Sun. Possibly doing Terminator. It's kind of become a lifestyle just to stay in shape and be prepared for the next role that's going to come up.
So, but I'm not muted here.
No, good. Here you go.
It's got to be, you said it's a science. Now, Kevin, you've had to kind of go through some of that too. Do you find that because some of these actor roles are, like they're basically pretty big jacked guys, like these are not lightweight guys, but they're in shape. Do you find like it's a hard balance for being a guy, because you're not a short person, you're just like a taller, you're a bigger dude, and I think I'm like 6'2", and what I've noticed is like I always feel small because I grew up late in high school, so I always felt smaller around other people. But when I see a picture of myself, like I forget I'm kind of a bigger fellow next to a lot of people. But I see you in films, and it looks like you're just kind of towering over some of these actors. Do you feel like it's harder as you've gotten older, as somebody that has to do super physical stuff? Or do you feel like once your body just gets there, just kind of maintains?
I think a lot of it depends on Dirk. Is that you?
Dirk,
I'm so sorry.
I'm
I'm in my car.
We'll just mute him.
And it's so hot here. I apologize.
Nobody puts baby in a corner, and nobody mutes Dirk Ellis.
That's a Dirk Ellis, not the.
I'm sorry. It was getting so hot. I had to turn AC on.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
You're
I like to keep what I call basically my cruising altitude at about 230, and depending upon the role that comes up, I can go up and I can go down. I'm 6'5", so it's easier for me to gain and lose weight. It really is. Losing weight has never been an issue. Gaining weight has never been an issue for me. When I was much younger, when I was playing football, like in high school, it was difficult to gain weight. But whenever I put on weight for Armstrong, which for Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe, which Dirk Ellis is in as well. They wanted me to come in at 275. So I had to put on 45 pounds for that, which I did.
Wow.
But then with Batman Vader, because you're wearing an armored suit, the more muscular you are, the more the suit looks bloated. And so they wanted me to come in at 215 or 220. And so what Dirk wonderfully described as, it's a science. And you just start counting your macros, your calories, your protein. You just hop on the cardio. And
roughly how long would that take for you to do, like to get prepped for a show?
I will tell you this, seeing as I'm not 22 anymore, it takes longer to take it off than it is to put it on. Putting it on was a lot of fun for Armstrong. I just ate everything that I can get my hands on. But then when I had another project coming up and I had to drop 30, 35 pounds, it's going to take a few months. It just is, to do it safely and to do it in a way that'll last.
Well, before we go to Connor, let me just ask a question that can go across everyone on the bottom layer here. One of the things that is brought up in comics right now is the body proportions for both women and men. You know, what is the hero look? You guys put a lot of effort and energy into putting muscle mass on, up to 40 pounds, depending on what the character is. How do you guys feel about that, about where that argument is right now in sort of the societal push on what we want in our comics? Hyperrealism versus superhero, extra juice, sort of alpha look. And that can go to anybody. You guys can crosstalk however you want to answer that. I think it's very interesting where we're at right now, what people are expecting in their heroes.
Kayla, do they often ask you to gain 40 pounds for a role?
No, actually, they constantly tell me to lose weight. So I've recently lost 25 pounds. And since I lost that weight, I've been booking through the roof. And I think it's ridiculous that that's the standard, because I was really healthy. And like when you saw the Wonder Woman picture, I was 25 pounds heavier, muscle, right? But they want skinny for women. And you know what?
Which is, by the way, unhealthy and insane for Wonder Woman. Now, for those of you who are watching who have never heard of any of these people, or maybe you've heard of these people, but you're not familiar with Kayla, Kayla was a college tennis player, a ranked college tennis player. And I don't know if you've ever played tennis, but there are no fat people doing it because we would die. We would literally die. I don't know if you've ever tried to play tennis, just messing around with your friends. About 3 minutes in, you think, I should probably stop talking crap on any tennis player ever. This is stupid. I don't know why I'm doing this. I have things to do with my life. And she was a ranked college tennis player, and they still thought, you should lose a leg to be able to do this. And you know, 25 pounds, I honestly don't know where you were getting it from. That's pretty insane.
Neither
and
did
that's
I.
not to be complimentary. I literally don't know. Like, I looked at it and I was like, well, it looks like she's lost weight, but I was like, she might have lost 10 pounds. We're like, 25? My wife is a fighter, and she never had to lose that much weight.
I worked with a nutritionist, and we really like the macros and the protein. We upped my protein to like 140 grams a day, which was crazy. Basically what was happening is I wasn't eating enough because I was trying to starve myself because I wasn't getting rolls.
Right.
You know, and if Kevin, I don't know if you recall, I didn't fit in the Wonder Woman outfit when at the final callback. And so, they went and they put it on this girl who looked like she had never worked out in her life, beautiful as she was, right? Which was a heartbreak for me, you know? And so it's for women in this industry, it's like, you can either go your own path and be like adamant, like, this is how I'm going to look, or unfortunately you have to conform in some way if you want to get roles. And so I'm really hoping that we see the day where diversity can be shown with body types, and there's not just one body type for a woman.
Right. It would be awesome if we get to the point where fit and powerful is sexy versus thin and curved. So, like, we expect our male powerhouses to put that weight on and put that muscle mass on because it's important to show that they have that alpha look. But yeah, there's absolutely no reason that fit can't be what the expected look is. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I don't mean to jump on anyone's toes.
Yeah, I think it was actually a testament to how badass people think Wonder Woman should be when comic book people across the board, when they first announced that Gal Gadot was doing it, they had only seen her in the Fast and Furious, and she was rail thin, right? She looks lovely on camera. She photographs incredibly well. She was a model. That's what you do. But dude, we were just like, she's not physically big enough to be Wonder Woman. We want somebody that could pick me up and throw me across a planet. You know, like we're just thinking that in our heads, and we're thinking that's not, you know, Diana. And I kept telling people, I'm like, dude, they're going to have to jack her up. She's really going to have to gain some weight for this role. And then when she gets that weight on, she's also at that age that immediately women, they don't change quite the same as men. Like their bodies do a lot of different stuff. And I've watched since I had to be a cameraman for some of my wife's fights and just for their EFC is something here in the Midwest. And I watch them deal with fighting, dropping the weight. And we're talking guys that'll be like, man, I have to drop 20 pounds. I have to drop 25 pounds for a fight, but it's insane and it messes you up. And when you see girls do it, the one thing about girls is they keep wanting to fight in lower and lower weights to the point that it's like actually dangerous. Mm-hmm. So you get to a point where you see a girl who is like, frankly, you were in great shape. You were a tennis player. You hit that wall where you're like, when is it not safe to be losing weight for a role? And so I want to ask you, because I think maybe you can speak on this in a way that, frankly, we're a bunch of guys. We don't know.
Yeah, so when they did announce Gal, I was really worried, you know, because Wonder Woman is a universal symbol for women of hope and empowerment. And I didn't want little girls to look at her and be like, why don't I look like that? You know?
Right.
I was, honestly, she kicked ass. I don't know if I can say ass. Sorry.
Yep. I just did. So yes, you can say yes.
She put on 20 pounds of muscle. I think she worked really hard because she knew that as well, you know, that she was going to be like a symbol for women everywhere. And what you were saying about like losing weight dangerously, that's actually what happened to me. Like I got to a point where like things in my body didn't start working as they should. Yeah. And so now I'm like trying to find the happy medium within like a couple of pounds of where I'm at now, to be healthy, to be inspirational to people. I would never, ever want someone to look at me and say, like, I'm not going to eat because of her, you know? So, and I think, like, women have a responsibility nowadays, at least, to maintain a healthy body image for, like, younger generations so they can have positive body confidence growing up.
Well, I've seen one group that doesn't have that problem. And this is not to be complimentary. This is just a fact. When you look at Bat in the Sun, they not only get the guys right, they get the girls right. And you take something like I was talking to Dirk yesterday briefly, and we mentioned that they do the waiting room, where basically it's just a bunch of superheroes in a waiting room talking to each other. And the girl that they had play Rogue was perfect for the character. I mean, she was the character Rogue. She just nailed it. And she was a good actress. She was funny. But she was also built like Rogue, who is short, compact, and she's just awesome and super fit. But we're talking like super fit, like, oh, you've done some serious training to be like that, right? Like, this is not an accident. No one just looks like that. They've got to spend some serious time in a gym. And she was awesome, and she nailed it. And you look at her in the costume and you just go, everything on this show they seem to get. Now I'm going to go to Kevin. Kevin, what is it about Bat in the Sun when you guys first started do you think really helped you focus on fans, like giving fans what they actually wanted? Is it because your partner ran a shop? Because wasn't he a part of a comic book shop?
No, Aaron and Sean Shonky started Bat in the Sun in 2000. I would say 2001, 2002. I came along in 2003. They did not run a shop, but I think the reason for the accuracy is we're all fans. We're all legitimate fans. I know for a fact that Kayla's a fan, Dirk's a fan, Aaron and Sean are definitely fans. And so the content that we create, the characters that we create from scratch or from inside ourselves comes from what we want to see up on screen. My Batman is Neil Adams Batman, with a little bit of Michael Keaton sprinkled in. Alex Ross, of course. But that's what I see. So whenever I'm training, whenever I'm doing my voice, I see in my head what a fan would see Batman to be. And luckily, it manifests itself into something that you see, but more importantly, it's captured by fans that are absolutely brilliant, which is Aaron and Sean Shonky. So it's not as if we're filmmakers that we go, okay, well, what can we do that's cool and that the fans would like? No, we shoot what we think would be cool, what we want to see. And there's not a single moment that I don't watch playback and I'm in any of the suits that I've worn, especially Batman, that I don't geek out and I don't watch myself and go, that's absolutely not me. That is a combination of myself, a great suit, great lighting, great cinematography, great direction. And it's a group effort done by people that have so much passion for the source material.
Yeah, the sets are amazing.
Yeah.
Like when you guys did Star Wars clips, I'm like, good grief, this took some time. Just being from an artist standpoint, I watched people do set building before. I can't believe how far they went out on the Star Wars sets. They really genuinely nailed it. But what bothers me is when you look at the costuming in Bat in the Sun, a lot of times it's better than you see in the movies, or not necessarily the movies. The movies seem to be really on point. They seem to be high-end. But the ones that are going to high-end Netflix shows, really good shows, they're spending less time figuring out the costuming, it seems like. It seems like you look at the costumes and you're like, really? That's what we got? That's sure, man. Like, you should never see cosplayers putting pictures up on Instagram that are kicking your butt if you've got any kind of Hollywood or New York budget. I'm saying. I'm sorry, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Christy in Cleveland is kicking the crap out of you right now. You know, that's not good.
Who's Christy?
Exactly. That's the point. It's just anybody random should not beat you. And when Bat in the Sun came out, I think people, when they saw it, they really were just like, God, man, this looks way better. Like, this looks way better than a quote-unquote fan film would normally look, just because they nailed it. Rose Robeck just wrote in, yes, Bat in the Sun has the best superhero costumes. They're awesome. Kevin is the best Batman.
Dirk and I are very good friends with Rose. We actually had a meal with Rose when we traveled outside Chicago, and we had pizza. Remember that, Dirk?
I do very well. We were having a good time with her. That was a good night.
Yeah, Rose is an early adopter to the Bat in the Sun material, and is one of our champions. She's beyond a fan. She is so gracious and kind and everything good that I can say.
So Punisher Red Hood.
Yes.
Really, really good fight scene.
Violent, very violent. A lot of blood.
Very physical. It was actually just a really good fight scene. I was like, this is a legit fight scene for any movie. Like, anybody would be proud of that fight scene. That was cool.
In that fight scene, Red Hood was played by 3 different people. It was played by Rich Manley, played by Brian Morton, and then also Alvin Singh. Alvin Singh was the fight choreographer for Luke Cage. He does a lot of stuff for Marvel and Netflix shows. And we're blessed enough to have him choreograph. And Dirk, you know, you've been choreographed by him many times.
Very much. And, yes, he's very good at what he does.
Fast. He's a fast fighter. And he fights with velocity. And his choreography is just, it's a pleasure. It's difficult. It's a challenge, but it's such a pleasure to do.
Sorry, what's his name again? I just want to make sure everybody hears it.
Alvin Singh, Hsing.
Nice. Very cool. So, Kayla, who have you been working with for the physical stuff?
Right now I'm training with Kendall Wells. He's doing weapons training and sword training with me. That obviously got halted due to the lockdown, but we're doing some virtual stuff. So he right now is the stuntman for John Krasinski in Jack Ryan. He's absolutely incredible. Yeah, and his wife is amazing. She does horse work. And so I grew up riding horses, and so I can't wait till after the lockdown I can go ride with her. And then I did my gun training with Tactical Black.
Very cool. Very cool. And when did you guys all have to kind of shut down, and what have they told you? What do you, like, basically tell us what it's like to have to live through that right now. Because a lot of us are comic book people. I could sit in my room and draw. And when this happened, I was like, I guess I'm going to sit in my room and draw. You know, like that. Honestly, I know it sounds bad, but when a lot of other people lost work, I was already a broke artist, you know, doing what I do every day for so long. I used to be in a rock band. I toured, and I just got used to peanut butter and jelly. So for me, that's gourmet. I don't care. I'm fine. But what I've found is that when stuff like this happens, when things get kind of glitchy in the system, you know, the 2008 crash that we had where the housing bubble burst and everything, I wasn't running into the same walls that other people were simply because I am the cheap guy to go to. People would come to me for graphics and stuff, and they would fire agencies. Because instead what they were doing is going like, oh, we can afford the individual for creative, but we can't afford the agencies and a whole bunch of college kids sitting around in an office not doing anything. So what's it like to be on sets and then suddenly go, okay, now I'm kind of locked in the house and I have to create? What are you guys dealing with?
I think we got locked.
I already gave my run.
Right? So it's been over a month now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was on set literally the day before lockdown. And the AD turned to us and was just like, guys, everything is going to go dark. Take all the work that you can right now. And then literally the next day, lockdown.
Dude. And so nothing for the last month?
Nothing.
Dirk, same kind of thing? Or you had gotten hurt. Now, you were in an accident. A lot of people don't know that Dirk was super physical.
It's a little bit different a story for me. This year, 2020, has been a very long year already for me. I haven't done much the whole year because of my accident. So I was in a really bad motorcycle accident January 9th at 6:30 p.m. at night, so during rush hour. And I was rushed to the emergency room immediately, and I went through the whole treatment. It was a very scary time, but I got through it. I was in the hospital for over 2 weeks, and the coronavirus was just starting to be talked about at that time. So by the time I got out of the hospital, I had about 2 weeks of free time to enjoy the world that I didn't know was about to be shut down. So I was able to get in the gym about a week and a half or 2 weeks before it shut down. So I was doing the same thing before coronavirus. Basically, I was just in my house in my bed the whole time. So this has been an extended shutdown for me. It's not really changed much once I finally was able to get out and do stuff. Well, everything's closed. So I've used this time to work on a lot of projects that I have on the back burner on my computer and in my head, ideas. I've been at my computer nonstop editing and coming up with more ideas. And that's helped me get through it a lot. And I feel that once all this is kind of over with, I'll have like a big group of solid projects that I can launch right whenever it's done. So in fact, when I was in the hospital, I was on my bed in the hospital, I was making business phone calls and reaching out to certain people and making connections so I could have that future connection waiting for me whenever this was all over. So I've been working hard on my own stuff ever since.
Well, a message from Rose. She just said, hey, so very glad that Dirk recovered from that motorcycle accident. Glad he's doing better now. And before we go to Kevin on this, because I have a feeling Kevin's got some things to talk about with that too. Connor, I haven't talked to you yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to shut this thing down because we're all fans. We all love you guys and appreciate what you guys are doing. Connor's a fan. We're all sort of fanned out a little bit, and I knew this might happen. As a moderator, I should have probably shut it down a little bit earlier.
I do not apologize.
I am more than happy. I'm just geeking out, enjoying listening.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So Connor's over in Ireland right now. He's a digital artist, and he's a pretty damn good digital artist. So Connor, how did you get into art, and what are you facing now with this kind of stuff? Because you're also a dad too, right?
Yeah. I grew up in like an arty household. My mum was a traditional oil painter. Her father was a really good cartoonist and painter as well. So I just grew up drawing. Did art at school. Went on to university to do games design, where I focused mainly on the art side of things. Came out of uni and landed a job as a graphic designer and spent doing it for 8 years and absolutely hated it, unfortunately. I was just before my daughter Jessica was born. I just walked out of my job. Just having a really bad day. I went up to the boss. We had a bit of an argument about this. I was like head of the design studio. He was head of the sales. I basically told him to F off and he grabbed my stuff and walked out. And the wife was like, I'm giving birth in 2 weeks and you've just walked out of your job. Great. And I was just like, well, you know what? I want to draw pictures. If I don't do it now, I'm probably going to be stuck doing graphic design for the rest of my life. I'm going to hate it. And she was like, well, do it. You know, we were quite fortunate, like financially, we could survive with me going freelance and trying to make a go of this. And so, yeah, just 6.5 years later, I'm here doing comic covers, working for like things like Warhammer 40K for a couple of third-party things, and just really enjoying it. Like compared to what these guys are going through, where they're having to go to the gym and watch what they eat and, you know, exercise. I don't have any of that. If I want big muscles, I draw big muscles. I'm sitting here drinking fizzy drinks and I've got a packet of crisps. And so that's, you know, It's good.
I'm going to bring up some of your artwork. Go ahead and walk us through
stuff like
it,
where.
That's so great.
Yeah, sure. If you got some
Yeah,
stuff,
I've got some of the stuff up.
that was
Go ahead.
that was one of the first Warhammer fan arts I did. I think about 2016, so about 4 years ago, and that's actually the piece that got me the gig with Titan Comics doing covers for the Warhammer comics. So
Very cool.
I had a friend who I randomly met. We have like a little group of artists who we all hang out with, like on Facebook chat. There's about 6 or 7 of us in there. And Oren Svensson, he's from Norway, and he's like another kick-ass artist, man, like really, really good. And we jumped into like a Google Hangout with a couple of others, and he was there drawing Warhammer stuff, and I was like, okay, I like this guy instantly. He's drawing Warhammer. And we got talking, let me know it was for, Titan Comics. And I just basically straight up asked him, next time you speak to your editor, if they're looking for any more artists, kind of drop them over some of my portfolio. He's like, sure. Got a message back a while later just saying, yeah, send them your stuff. Sent it over, and literally like 2 minutes later, got a reply going, yeah, we want to commission you for a range of covers. And that was it.
Well, are you getting a lot of work right now, or is everything kind of shut down?
At the moment, no. Like with Titan, at the start with Warhammer, I was getting loads. I did about 10 covers over the space of about a year, so like once a month kind of thing, working on 3 or 4 different Warhammer titles I had. And then Warhammer, they stopped doing Warhammer because Marvel actually have got the rights for it now, I believe. So I then, bit of a lull there for, I don't know, probably about 6 months, and they approached me saying, do you want to do Bloodborne? And I was like, yeah, it's like one of my favorite games. I would give anything to work on Bloodborne. And so I did the Bloodborne one, and then I spoke to the editor probably just before Christmas, and he's like, yep, stuff's in the works, be in touch in the new year. And then, coronavirus lockdown.
Great work.
There's no really point chasing anyone up because everyone's in the same boat. It's, if anything, it's kind of good having the downtime because I can focus on stuff I want to do. Because like having kids, you don't really have the time the way I did maybe 5-6 years ago when they were younger, just to sit and draw all day and practice stuff. Sort of like find an hour's peace and quiet, do whatever commissions I've got, go back, play with the kids, they go to bed, I'm tired, I'll stick on PlayStation or something, or watch Netflix, I don't want to paint. So now that I've got pretty much all day, because the wife's off work now as well, so like she's looking after the kids, I can paint all day. And so
we actually have some good news for you. I had talked to Joe about how we could do things to kind of have you guys talk to each other. I didn't know, like we thought maybe, I could introduce Kayla to these guys. And we didn't realize at first that like her first audition was for Kevin. So they already kind of knew each other anyway. Now you being so far from Hollywood and far away from what, those guys are doing, we thought, well, how could we tie it in? And I came up with something. I thought, why don't I hire Connor to do a piece for Kevin? Okay. And so I'm going to hire you to do a commission for Kevin, but he's going to have to tell you what to put on it because it'll be for his new project that he's launching on Indiegogo. So he won't be able to, like, we won't actually see it until he knows more about it. Like, in other words, he'll have to fill you in of how to create that character because they just launched a successful campaign on Indiegogo for another film. Which congratulations,
awesome.
Kevin. Yeah.
That's huge. I'm honored. What I would have to do is, of course, get you the artwork for the suit, so the suit is accurate to that. I would run it by Aaron and Shauna. Of course, they'd be cool with that. But it would be an honor. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, and you're running by Hollywood rules, Connor, which means you can't release it, not even to us. No one can see that.
That's fine. I'm used to NDAs and all this here, but that is absolutely amazing, guys. Thank you very, very much. Like that's.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
Being a fan of Kevin and the Bat and the Sun stuff, that really is. That's going to be a very fun project, and I have all the time in the world to do it now, so I can spend crazy amount of hours on it.
What time is it there, by the way, in Ireland? Is it about 7 or so?
6:45. It's starting to get a bit later. I'm in the future. You guys remember?
Yeah. You asked me before the show yesterday when we were doing the checks to see if it was okay if you could drink. So I've been watching to see if you were putting the drinks down or not.
No, I actually decided to stay sober. I went down to the shop.
That's the most Irish guest ever. That's awesome.
But, like, the one thing about Ireland and Northern Ireland especially is it's never sunny. Like this country, it rains 360 days a year.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's about 20, 25 degrees. You guys work in Fahrenheit, so I'm not too sure what it is. But this is hot. This is hot for us, right? I was just like, I need a beer, man. No sunny weather. I've not drank really in ages because I'm not a big drinker. I stopped drinking probably about 2.5 years ago. I would have just do occasional beer. And I went down to the shops earlier, and the off license was there, and they were queued because it's all like 2 people in the shop at once because of the whole lockdown, social distancing, and all this stuff. And they were queued like all the way around. And I was like, I don't want to beer that much. I'm not. I'm sticking to Coca-Cola.
I'll wait.
Awesome.
So, Kevin, congrats on the project, and tell us all about it. Yeah.
Are you talking about Dying is Easy?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, Dying is Easy is what we're approaching as the definitive Batman project. It may be our last Batman project because they have so many original IPs that they're working on, which I wouldn't be against that. I love Batman. I love Batman. I love portraying Batman, and I think it's also a nice stepping off point for original characters. But it's a psychological conversation that Batman has with the Joker. Batman summoned to the Gotham City Police Department from the Bat Signal, and then he sees Harlequin, who had basically taken over the signal, tells him that the Joker's dying, and that his last wish is to see Batman. So Batman has to go to Arkham Asylum, has to fight his way through the amazing cameos to sit down with the Joker. And it's the great Aaron Schoenke, and he makes such an amazing Joker. And the Joker's last wish is to have Batman kill him before the cancer does. And they talk about why Batman hasn't done what should have been done 15 years ago, and how many people have sacrificed their life because Batman lives by this code of not killing. Yeah. But he's had hundreds of opportunities to take the Joker out. If he would have killed the Joker 15 years ago, right, how many lives would have been saved? And is there a moral and ethical obligation that Batman has failed on for doing that? And that's what we're going to explore. And I'm an actor. I'm an actor built for battle, but I love dialogue. I love character-driven projects. I'll swing, and I'll punch, and I'll dive, and I'll shoot, which is great. But without character behind it, without some type of meat to substantiate the purpose for the battle, I'm not that interested. I'm really not. And he knew to get me back into that suit, which is very uncomfortable, it would have to be something that really excites me. And this is going to explore Batman in a way that has never been explored, even in the feature films.
Let me do a follow-up question on that there, James. So one of my issues talking about character and development and storytelling and everything being interconnected, one of my issues with the Batman vs. Superman was I think they didn't understand the Batman motivation. I think they mixed the Batman motivation with Lex Luthor's motivation. Really going to one of the things that I kind of try to explain to people about why Batman doesn't kill, and maybe you could be finally the person who tells me if I'm right or wrong, is that Batman is fully convinced and understands that he is crazy. And there's no difference between him and his rogue gallery. Thus, part of the reason why he doesn't kill is if he knows if he kills, then he won't stop, which I think we've seen a little bit of that with the new comics that came out recently, with the alternate versions of Batman. So maybe you can tell me if I'm right or not. I've been telling everyone I'm right. I could be wrong, but I owned that one for a while.
No, I support that. And I think that the common phrase is that Bruce Wayne is the mask that Batman wears.
Yeah.
His psyche is truly dark. It's damaged at such a young age. He's seen what death can do to a family. And he does have that darkness and that rage and that lack of humanity in him. That's why I think that Robin is such a crucial element, because it gives him that humanity. Mm-hmm. It gives him those repercussions. and someone to look after and say he can't just be in beast mode and rage mode the entire time. And without that element, then he's just the Punisher, basically. Of the code. So yeah, I think that you're absolutely onto something, because then what separates him, other than motivation? Motivation for the others is power. Motivation for him is vengeance, and vengeance is a form of power. Neither of them are noble at all. And so if you kill in the sake of vengeance, who are you avenging? He's avenging his parents from 30 some odd years ago, which isn't rational either.
Good, that's good stuff. I think you okay. Good, you're still moving. I was worried I lost you there completely. I guess we'll do one more question real quick. We'll do one more while we still got you. Hopefully you don't completely pop out. How do you feel about the Justice League movies that came out? And if they took advice from you on anything, what would you kind of throw their way for character growth and kind of hitting the characters right?
I think that they were entertaining. I think that they were basically live action animated films. They definitely weren't for any true fanboys. They were entertaining for children. Basically, the same way the Aquaman was. It was entertaining. I didn't get a lot out of them. But it was fun. It was like watching colored popcorn popping in a big glass case. What my advice would be, and my advice always is less is more. Less is more. Less villains, less CGI. Keep it based in what motivates the characters. With I think it was Batman when they brought Doomsday out, and then honestly I can't even remember that. What was the guy's name in the Justice League movie? The big CGI. He looked like a Thor reject. It was terrible. Steppenwolf. The band. Okay, gotcha. So less is more. Smaller is more, and that's why I always go back to Dick Donner's Superman. You had one villain, and that's Lex Luthor. I go back to 89 Batman. You had one villain. That was the Joker. One villain's enough. You don't have to throw 4 or 5 villains into a movie. It's hard to follow. Less CGI, more character development, more alter ego development, more Bruce Wayne, less Batman. Batman should be so shocking whenever you see him that you never get used to seeing him.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's actually kind of a tragedy that they don't do that more. Like, frankly, I'm actually hoping that this next one that comes out as a Bat film.
And definitely, less CGI. That's the worst.
I'm hoping that they, less CGI. I'm actually just hoping they make him a detective.
And honestly,
like he's a detective, I think we're getting some.
We're losing you, Kevin. We're losing you. Just to update you on that.
Less human. Yeah, that's what I
try. Kevin, just so we can keep you on for the rest of the show, try to drop out and then come back in if you could. Sometimes that happens.
All right, brother.
All right. So one of the things that people don't know about Kevin is he also is a mentor, and he has an acting class that he teaches with, I don't know, maybe about 15 to 20 students. And one of the things that he pushes really hard is knowing your lane and knowing your space and just owning your lane. And I think that's what really important for a lot of creatives. It doesn't matter if you're an actor or an artist or whatever it is that you want to live and do and be happy doing. And I just want to toss that to the group for like Kayla. Hopefully I didn't get you in the middle of a bite. I think you were eating like a pickle or something a minute ago. So I was like, oh no.
I thought it was Oreos.
Is it Oreos?
She's dropping protein, brother.
Oh, okay.
I was going to ask.
I took one look at that and I'm like, she does not slow down.
And I'm like, how is no one eating during this? Jesus.
Everyone's hungry.
because I ate like half an hour ago, and I wasn't nervous about the thing. Honestly, I'm actually kind of used to the podcasting thing like this now because a lot of my friends, they're just a lot of them are YouTubers, so we don't really think about it. But then when I got on here with you guys, then it suddenly it hit me. I'm just like, is that freaking Batman? You know, like it just messes with you a little bit where you're just
I
like,
knew I was going to fan out
Darth
too.
Maul, you know, like it just kind of bothers you in the head because you're like, he was really good in the role, but it's cool to just see people as people so that you're reminded, hey, these are people that have to do this. Because to me, when I look at movies now, I look at it like a musicians don't look at rock bands and tours and all that stuff. We don't look at it the same as we did when we were not people that had done that. Because once you've done it, then you just see it as like, oh, you see all the production, you see all the people behind the scenes. And you don't appreciate the people behind the scenes until you're actually dependent on the people behind the scenes for everything to work right. And so I was like, oh, this is actually cool. Now we actually get to see the actors who are these roles. But I got to ask you, who do you think is the most important person for you? Do you think it's a nutritionist? Do you think it's somebody that's hair and makeup? Like, who are the people where you've been like, this person became my best friend and I owe them the world?
The editor is the most important person.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh my God.
Do you guys have a team that works with you as you've gone from project to project? Have you sort of linked in with a team that does, you know, specific costuming or lines that kind of help you guys out to make sure you're streamed in? Or is it you always kind of work with new groups?
I have my group for sure. Like I do as many projects as possible with Carly Woods. And she's also my best friend, so it works. She is an amazing actress, an amazing writer. So she wrote the script that we're producing together, Progeny. And then my friend Neil Karunatalaka, he is directing both of the projects that I mentioned. So I definitely like to keep it in the same group, like to be creative with the same people. Of course, always willing to add new people to our group, but I feel like you can go further and faster with people and deeper with people who you really love and are connected to and have the same passion.
Exactly, yeah.
And Connor, who does your hair and makeup?
The wife, generally, or my 6-year-old daughter.
Your hair looks fantastic.
No, my daughter's in that phase where she one week wants to be a hairdresser or she wants to be in makeup. This week she wants to be into sports. So I generally would have plaits, bows, anything in my hair because I don't have to leave the house, so I don't have to worry about people laughing at me.
You know, these guys that we have here are the actors that are representing these characters, and they're all fans at heart. But you're creating the characters. So one of the dreams that you have is working for Warhammer, and you've done some work with them already. What would you have like? What would be what's your idea about the ideal character look, or is it kind of changing based on the character and the story?
Well, we were sort of going on before about, you know, the stereotypical alpha male and stuff like that. I'm one of the guys that very much in the impression of I just draw what I'm told, you know, to draw, basically. If someone wants the stereotypical alpha male, and yeah, I'm going to draw that there. Personally, I don't really agree with it because as someone who did a lot of sports growing up, like I did kickboxing from when I was 6 right up till I was 18. I did karate, I did judo, I played, football, soccer, if you call it. I did tennis. I was actually, when Kayla said she was good at tennis, like, oh, I played a lot of tennis, you know. But I could never put on weight. I always was so skinny. Like, I was the kind of skinny, I had to run in the shower to get wet because water would just miss me. You know, didn't matter how much I did or whatever, I just stayed at like 8.5 stone, 9 stone.
There are no fat tennis players. It just doesn't happen.
It wasn't literally until about 5-6 years ago that my metabolism was just like, no, and just gave up on me. And, you know, I ended up getting dad bod. But when it comes to like drawing stuff and whatever else, and how I see characters, I think realism's the best. You know, I'm not one for these super hulking monstrosities, which is kind of weird when you spend pretty much 95% of your time drawing space marines, which are genetically
huge, massive, monstrous guys.
You know, but I think there's ways to do it where it doesn't look ridiculous. You know, and as we were talking the other day when we all sort of had a meet up, like the whole like female armor in fantasy art as well. I think it's ridiculous. You know, chicks in bikinis, basically, just metal bikinis. I think it's stupid because it's not realistic. So
I think the industry, like the biggest thing that the industry did when they finally realized that they crossed the line, I think the industry like figured it out. This was about the mid '90s when Fantastic Four has always been like the flagship, family comic book. It's always been sort of Fantastic Four started it, but then they kind of turned into X-Men was the flagship title. But when they had Susan Storm with a bikini and a number 4 boob window, that was when even the comic book industry was like, okay, we have gone now too far, even for us. And this was the 90s when they were like having bikini issues. So,
yeah, literally there were swimsuit issues and people saw that and they just said revolt. No, revolt.
No.
Stupid.
This is too much. This is dumb. Now you've reached stupid levels.
Sue Storm is our favorite mom in comics. Knock it off, guys.
Not that moms can't be attractive. Just to be clear, just for the record.
My wife is lovely. We have 2 kids. She's freaking hot. It doesn't bother me. I'm happy. But yeah, I don't want to see her running around with a boob window for an outfit either.
Legit, all I'm asking is just put armor over their vital organs, for the love of God.
Look at your kidneys, lady.
Vital organs, Connor. Vital organs, no matter what you're at.
I will remember that for a future reference.
I will make sure that the art that I do, I will have a note, vital organs.
So, Kevin, I just went to Batman Dying is Easy fan film on Indiegogo. Mm-hmm. And it looks to be that I can get an exclusive T-shirt for $100. What else do I get with that?
Well, it should be listed. You'll be listed in the credits. I know that I don't know. Are you putting me on the spot? I don't know what.
No.
Damn, brother.
And he's outside enjoying the sun, and then I just threw a curveball.
Yeah, is the signal better?
Let me ask a different question. It is better. It is better. Let me ask you about this crowdfunding that you're doing.
Yeah.
How is it different than the projects you've done in the past, where you've done these short films and now you're tackling something much bigger and you're looking out and looking for those fans?
Well, the budget's going to be higher on this project than any other project we've done outside of Ninjak and also Legacy Wars. Also, a lot of times Machinima had kicked in. We would have sponsors on the outside kick in. But this, primarily, it's an opportunity for the fans to be a part of this. And we get messages all the time saying, how can I be a part of it? And for $1, $5, $2, you can say that, yeah, this is my project. And it gives the fans ownership of this. And there's so much appreciation that we have for the fans. And if somebody gives $1 of their money and their time and their appreciation, then I'm just honored and humbled by that. And so opening it up, and I think that our goal was $25,000, which is nowhere near the amount of money that's going to be spent on it. And we'll probably hit $50,000. We'll probably double our goal on this, just because we're opening it up and giving the fans onus of this project. And I call anyone that's produced or anyone that's donated little baby producers, because this is their project.
Well, this actually looks like a great project, and the poster is super cool.
Oh, it's super cool.
What's the running time?
Yeah, what's the runtime for this? How long is it going to go?
I would say if it went beyond 15 minutes, I would be surprised. Okay. So I would say 12 minutes, 12 to 15. Okay. But we'll see. We'll never know. I mean, Aaron is currently writing it right now, and we're bouncing back and forth the scripts and revisions. It may get up to 20, but anything beyond 20. City of Scars is 30, and that was perfect. It couldn't have been shorter, but that took 2 years to film.
And do you think the length of the filming? Let's say you guys got to $60,000 or something. You you guys have already raised $40,000 on it. Mm-hmm. You're over. Let's see where you're at. You're at 40,742. You're about to be 40,842. Woo! So yay. Also, by the way, the one before that, the perk before that was voice message and signed script. Exclusive T-shirt is the next one. So since we're going to get a voice message, you're going to give us a cool voice message for our new channel. That's cool, and that's worth my $100. I feel like I'm stealing from you, which doesn't seem like a good idea because you're kind of a big fella. But I'm going to do it because you wrote it down, and then you didn't remember you wrote that down, and so I'm totally doing this.
Steal away. Steal away.
Well, all right, awesome. Hey, let's just clarify something for fans that, like we said before the show, how does this line up with your original movie that kind of started all this?
Explain the question.
So how does it line up? Is it a sequel to The Scars, or
No,
how does
it's not. It's a standalone, and roughly we did City Scars and we did Seeds of Arkham, and which left us cliffhanger with Nightwing versus Batman, which is great. But that was 10 years ago. I think Seeds of Arkham came out in 2011, which is crazy. And so this is a standalone, and it's not tied to that continuum at all.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And at what point are you going to start looking at doing a old man Batman and passing the torch to maybe a future character with a full black suit?
First, okay, I hear what you're saying. You're going with Batman Beyond. I prefer the term mature Batman and not Batman.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Let's not. That's Marvel. That's Marvel. Different.
Yeah.
Different
So you just back off a bit there.
Okay. Well.
No, we've done a Batman Beyond versus Spider-Man 2099, I believe.
I gotta watch that one. I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, and I did play an older Bruce. Yeah, I did play an older Bruce Wayne on that one.
Okay.
That was probably one of the 4 beatdowns that Dirk Ellis was not a part of. Dirk Ellis is the only one that's been in more beatdowns than I have.
Oh, see, and that's the point of the show. Now we know.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Perfect.
Dirk is
just
Dirk
for the
is,
record. I cannot hear Kevin for some odd reason. I don't know why.
Oh, it happens sometimes.
He's telling us that you're a crap actor.
That's what I thought.
And that you haven't been in very many beatdowns.
I mean,
that's what he just said. It's a direct quote.
You know.
Yeah. He said that you are the one person who's been in more beatdowns than anyone else, and that you are a superstar.
and he is the Doug Jones of Bat in the Sun.
Oh, okay. That works.
Ben
That
Jones
works
of Bat in the Sun. Perfect.
Huge compliment. Huge compliment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So I wanted to swing over to Kayla. Hey, you have we talked about their upcoming projects. We haven't gotten into the White Dragon yet, but we will. You have an upcoming project that you're still funding. How is that? How are you getting the funding for that project, and what is it?
All right. So let's talk about Progeny. So that's the one that I'm co-producing with my friend Carly. And we actually just pitched it to a huge studio right before the lockdown. So we're like we want to go the indie route, right? But we need a lot of money. So we have been trying to reach studios. There's interest from studios, which is so amazing. It's a trilogy, a superhero trilogy. It stems from a graphic novel. And so for the graphic novel, we are looking for an artist. If anyone is interested, hit me up.
Nice.
Hint.
Nicely done. Nice little drop there. I like it.
Yeah. We're looking for an artist. We're looking for a distributor for the graphic novel. Basically just trying to figure out different strategies to get this like mass amount of money that we are looking for.
Well, tell you what, because you're on this stream,
mm-hmm.
if Connor would like to potentially work for you doing the digital side of it, I am a graphics and branding expert. It's what I've been doing for about 20 years. And as well as illustration, most of the stuff behind me is me, and I get paid to do a comic strip along with doing comic book type stuff. But Connor, he's here. You get a chance to then pitch your project to him as to why you think he should be the guy, what kind of style you want, and then I'll help you with the actual graphic design on it so that you get both done. Just because you were in our first stream ever. This is very cool. Joe, congratulations on the new channel. I'm really glad that I was a part of it. This is a lot of fun. And Kayla, take it away.
Oh, you actually want me to do a pitch right now?
Oh, I want you to do a pitch. Pitch hard.
Yeah.
That's part.
Okay. Well, the thing is I don't know how much I can actually say to however.
Not a strong pitch. I don't.
But if you would like to do a private pitch, I would be so more than happy to show you our set, which is super cool. And we do have some graphics on the website that I sent Joe, as well as like a pitch video. I think the pitch video is under a minute if you want to see it, but no pressure. So yeah. And I definitely want to, I love your work, Connor. I love your work. I was like checking out your Instagram. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, I got the message. I was like, oh yeah, I've got an Instagram. It's like I'm terrible at social media.
Oh, yep, there it is. So it's Progeny.
That's very cool.
Let's see if we can So videos aren't going to play so beautifully here, but maybe we can get a little bit of, we could talk over it, take a look at it.
We coexist because supers found a way to manage abilities. We trust each other. That trust fractures and society suffers.
That was a cool shot.
Whatever's really happening, whatever they're trying to hide, if we don't stop it, a lot of people are going to die.
That looks good. Very cool.
So Progeny is really a political movie that is wrapped up in a superhero movie, so people will watch it, right? So it's like we're getting the public to eat their vegetables kind of by watching a superhero movie. And one of the things that's like great about it is its diverse cast, you know, LGBT, people of different races. It's about politics and mental illness, and especially classism, which is really important to me, especially right now with what's going on with like coronavirus and the United States falling apart. You know, super timely. It's like a dark comedic superhero movie as well. Really like the modern day. There's a lot of like X-Men references, modern day X-Men. Really witty dialogue. Yeah. So watch out for it.
Awesome. Good.
All right. Very cool. And by the way, good luck with it.
Thank you.
So Dirk, I'm going to go to you now. Now you're somebody that physically just went through a lot of stuff because of the motorcycle accident, and you were a very physical actor before that. But you're also working on something like this where that allows you to then speak to people more. So tell us about that project and where you're at with it.
I have a project as well that I am hoping to launch very soon. It's a different type of superhero show. It's a superhero show. I've filmed 15 episodes of it so far. 2 I actually filmed in Hawaii. It's a superhero show. The episodes are very, very short, and it's kind of like each episode is almost like a blooper reel. If you can kind of imagine any superhero show we've watched with Marvel, with DC, you see the movie, but then when you see the kind of the behind the scenes when they're acting like the superhero, and they're badass and they're awesome, they're fighting, and then something funny happens to them that cuts the whole thing. Like as in like they got to say cut, and everybody just starts busting out laughing because of what just happened in the mess up. You know, like something that a superhero would never go through, like stubbing his foot on the coffee table, having to go to the bathroom, a bird poops on him, something like that. That doesn't happen
normal
in
stuff.
Superhero movies, right? But it happens to people like us. Well, I wanted to make a show kind of based on that, where the moment that error happens to the superhero, the music cuts out, the sound effects, everything, the special effects, everything cuts out, and they kind of look human for a second, and they kind of look around, they go, and then they got to go right back into it, and the music starts back up again. And
that's great, because suddenly they realize they're just sitting there in front of a green screen, and
Exactly.
Their color of their contrast. I loved how Superman's costume, everything they did in the DCE, like they took the costume and actually was very red and blue, and they just pulled all the color out of it in their special effects. They color corrected everything to death to the point that it's actually really, really cool. But when you see the regular costume, you're just like, whoa, man, that's a lot of color.
Right.
Like you just don't realize just that it was actually this really kind of like shiny, happy red and blue that they just made the most dark and depressing vibe that they could. And if you could just pull that out in the second of a scene, that'd actually be pretty dope.
Right. Yeah.
When are you launching that
show? Gosh, I don't have a date. I've been trying to work on it for years. I've run into a lot of obstacles. I also had a big vision I had too big of a vision for my abilities and for my bank account. I wanted so much stuff done to it, but I had to kind of learn as I went on how to edit and do special effects and sound effects. And I learned a lot of that from being on Bat in the Sun. I learned a lot of how camera work, the camera work you use for a drama will be a lot different than you use for making a comic book superhero fight. Everything's just different. And I learned a lot from working on Bat in the Sun and other projects on how to create something like that. So right now I'm working on the music composition, which I'm doing myself. I play piano and drums, and I'm working on the editing, and I'm working on the graphics and everything, and I'm hoping to have it out this summer. It's just been a money thing. It's been a budget thing, just not having the amount of money that I can use to pay professionals. So I've had to work on my own on this. And when I launch it, I'm hoping it'll be a hit, because it's kind of something that I don't think is really, this genre has really been done before. So I'm hoping it'll be a success. But I also have a lot of other things I'm working on. Like I have a horror franchise that I'm working on to produce, that I'm talking to an investor out of state, that I am under strict NDA about that. I can't talk much about that, but when contracts sign, I'll be able to talk more. And then I've got a vlog series I'm about to start releasing. I've done so much travel over the world. I have terabytes of footage from different countries that I've done really crazy things in, and I would love to start getting that online. So I have about 4 or 5 projects currently right now that I'm working on, hopefully launching very, very soon.
That's awesome. So since I have a chance to throw in a question here, now Kayla gave us some background as to how she got in to acting, but Kevin, how did you find yourself into it? Dirk and I, we talked a little bit yesterday. He's originally from Tyler, Texas. My rock band actually played one of the first bigger bands that I was in, a band called Alienate. When we were on the way up, we ended up selling albums in 10 countries. People fly here from Europe to see us. And dude, we played Clicks in Tyler, Texas. It's a dry county. You had to sign up when you get there to sign up as a member of the club just to be able to be there and have a beer or whatever. We were all just like, wait, what? We're from Kansas. We don't know. We just assume that you drink. Yeah. And plus we were used to playing in Texas, and people would just walk around most parts of Texas with an open container randomly. And we're just like, what is this beautiful mecca of beer? How did this happen? How did you end up getting into acting, Dirk? And then Kevin, how did you find yourself in the roles that you've had, where you're not only an actor, but you're also helping to produce this stuff too?
Mm-hmm. Well, I got into theater in college.
For me, or is this directed at me or directed at Kevin?
Hold a second. I think Kevin already started. We'll let him go first.
Okay. I got into
with me. Yes, Clicks. That is only a few miles away from my dad's house. I've been there once or twice. I'm familiar with that place. In Tyler, Texas, I also saw the band called Bowling for Soup. They got pretty famous as well. A lot of good bands passed through Tyler, Texas. I was in a few rock bands myself in Orlando, Florida. Like I said, drum set. I also taught drummers for a little while. But yeah, when I was in Texas, I didn't have much of a venue for entertainment and for acting. I tried doing it all myself, but it was really, really difficult. So I just realized I needed to move somewhere, and I wasn't sure if I should take California, because I didn't know what the caliber of California was like. I didn't know if I would just be eaten alive. And I'd had a job offer to go to Florida, so I went to Florida first, got in entertainment. But I realized I wanted to be an actor when I was in high school, when I was playing in the drum line. And I realized the audience perspective of what I was doing, I liked. I liked being that center of attention, but earning that center of attention with a talent or a skill. And that was when I realized, damn, I want to be an actor. I want to be in the movies. That's it for me. I mean, what's the top pinnacle of entertainment? I feel like it's the film industry. So that's what did it for me, was wanting to be in acting in movies, directing, writing, producing, was just entertainment itself that I was already involved in.
So how long have you been doing that now?
Which one?
Acting,
entertainment itself or
Just...
acting? Well, I mean, I did theater and drama. My very first actual lines on a project that it wasn't my own was in Orlando, and that was for a student project. And then I did another student project, then another one. And I went overseas, and when I was in Singapore, I had an agent in Orlando. I had a few agents actually, and I got some commercials off of that. And I booked a beer commercial, a Canadian beer commercial. That was my first lead ever. And I was in front of the camera for 2 hours, and I just realized how comfortable I was in front of the camera and how much I loved what I was doing. When I went to Singapore, I had an agent out there, and I booked a few commercials out there. Came to California, I booked a few more. It just was, it's kind of a snowball effect for me. It started off small and got bigger and bigger and bigger, but I always had that goal in mind to be in the film industry in a large capacity.
Hey, Dirk, do me a favor real quick. We got about 10 minutes left. Can you drop out and come back in so that you and Kevin can talk to each other? I'm missing that crosstalk I'd like to have. I think
I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Cool. And now, Kevin, we're going to go to you.
Right back in.
So, Kevin, fire away. How did you get started with this?
Well, I went to college to play football, and
Where
then
at?
somehow Newberry College, South Carolina.
Nice.
And yeah, small school. And I was approached to be in the theater program because they were just looking for, I guess, tall dudes. And I ended up auditioning and getting a role and then another role. And then quickly, my passion started shifting towards theater, even though football was paying for my college. After college, I thought I was a grown-up just like anyone else. I bought a car, got a nicer place, and then kind of forgot about your dreams. And a few years later, I was in a car accident, and it made me reevaluate what my life is and what I wanted out of it. And I went back to the last time that I was passionate and I was doing what I was meant to do, and that was on stage, being an actor. And I was trying to figure out how I can make a living at this, and I knew it wasn't going to be in Jacksonville, Florida. So just like Dirk, I came out to Los Angeles. Nice. And started almost immediately working in the character world. I got a job at Marvel Mania, which is a Marvel-themed restaurant at Universal Studios as Captain America. Then I got I was hired at Disney as Tarzan. And
we got hired at Disney and Tarzan, and then we lost Kevin.
Total cut out for me too.
So the question, it froze up on him. So the question is, are we here with too many people? So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to drop out and then watch it and to see if that doesn't help. Okay.
Okay.
Try to get Kevin back in. And peace out.
All right. All right. Hopefully, Kevin, you can come back in and it'll work. We're going about 10 minutes in, and then we'll be done. So about 10 minutes longer in the show. Hopefully, we can get Kevin back on here. I'm going to go ahead and see if we can remove him. Okay. So he's removed himself potentially, and then we'll add him back in. So one of the things that Kevin, I keep wanting to bring this up with Kevin. I think he left the studio. He'll come back here in a minute. And he's never here when I want to bring it up. Is really the impact of knowing your lane. He's a great mentor, and he's always tracking it up. And I keep bringing it up right when he leaves. So it's so funny. I think it's so passionate and it's so important to know young artists. Connor, we talked about this. Just figuring out what it is that you want to do. You quit your job. You said, you know what, F this, I'm done. Yep. I'm going to do the thing that I love. For me, if nobody ever buys anything that I do, my art, I could do that until the day I die, and I'd be happy. And I think that's part of the reason why I started this channel, is because I think there's so many people who are passionate across the globe that are just passionate. They want to build product and content, and they just want people to see it. And give them an opportunity to do the thing that they're passionate about for as long as they can to put food on the table. I think that's the biggest thing. So everyone who's here is pretty much an indie success who said, I'm just going to do it my way and the thing that I'm passionate about. And I really appreciate you guys being on. And with that, now that I've brought it up, he'll probably jump right back in.
Well, if this works.
Hey, Kevin.
So we get to go to Kevin. So Joe was asking you a question.
Can you hear me, Kevin? You can hear me. Can you talk? Do we get your audio back?
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm gonna bump out, guys.
I don't think it's gonna make it. Yeah. All right.
Let's try this way.
Yeah. Okay. I can hear you now. No, I cannot. Oh my gosh. All right. So we're hitting the finish line, and we're stumbling and falling on our faces, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. I really appreciate everyone being on here, and any parting words from Dirk or Connor or Kayla that you guys would like to push out to kind of close out our first show on YouTube for the Artist Roundtable. I absolutely love the fact that you guys all came on here. I'm blown away. I'm humbled. A lot of you guys I've known for a while, whether I knew it or not with Dirk. Kevin and Kayla I've been following for a long time. You guys are great, phenomenal influencers and just kind of a part of the public and very accessible to so many people. And I'm happy that now we and I know Connor, who's just a total beast. So thank you guys for being on the show. And I'm just going to give you guys a chance to sort of finish up and talk about anything you guys want to talk about. We'll just do a crosstalk on any questions you guys have for each other or anything you guys might have to talk about. That's
Who wants to go first?
Floor. Yeah, go on. Who's going to raise and just go?
I will.
All right, go ahead, Dirk.
I feel like it's really important for everybody to know the phrase, which is we all know is "follow your dreams," and I feel like the harder the dream and the longer it's going to take, or the more elements it takes to complete that dream, you're going to run into a lot of obstacles with people trusting or not trusting you, or having faith in you or not having faith in you, and you're going to get a lot of people that may discourage you. And you just have to the first person you have to convince it's going to happen is yourself. If you don't convince yourself, no one's going to believe you. I've also been the kind of person that, I hated when I was asked the question, what's your plan B? I would always reply, well, if I was wanting to be a doctor, would you ask me what my plan B was? If I wanted to be a lawyer, if I wanted to be an architect, if I wanted to be in retail management. But when it comes to films and acting industry, people always want to know what's your backup plan. Yes. So I just felt that the plan B distracted from plan A. I always knew what I wanted to be, and I knew it in my heart. And I knew that because every time I had a regular job, I was miserable. I was so miserable that I would avoid it like the plague. And I just realized I will never be happy until I at least pursue what I want to be, what I feel like my calling is. So don't let people discourage you, but you gotta work really hard. It's really hard to be successful. And they're going to say, 3%, only 1% of people make it. Well, you just have to have the mindset, what do I have to do to be in that 1%? That's what you have to do. You have to think outside the box on every angle of what can I do, push my own work, get work, network, everything. You have to do everything to be successful in this industry.
Yep. Awesome. Kayla, what do you got? What's your parting words of wisdom?
I totally agree. You have to follow your dreams. Life is too short. I don't think I mentioned this before, but I actually used to work in politics for 6 years. I have a master's degree in political science. And one day I went to the hospital. I was so stressed out. I was having heart problems, quit my job from the hospital, and moved to LA like 2 weeks later. And I was like, screw it. Life is too short. I want to change the world, and I don't want to do that in politics. Politics is too corrupt, so I'm going to do it through entertainment. And I guess, for anyone who's in the indie filmmaking world, put yourself out there how you want the world to see you, and the world will see you that way. You have to keep trying and be a good person. And I fully believe that if you're a good person and you're there to inspire yourself and others, it'll happen.
I agree.
Nice.
Perfect. What's the spiritual wisdom from Connor from Ireland?
I suppose just follow on the same as what Derek and Kayla have said. One of my favorite sayings is, if you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. And that's sort of why doing graphic design, like Kayla did with politics, just one day, screw it, man. This isn't for me. I want to draw pictures. I want to be creative. And you just have to do it. Like I say, just, as I said, put yourself out there. I've had so many rejection emails from applying to different gigs, and I never once let it get me down. Yeah, I'll feel bummed out for half an hour, but I used it as competition. I used it as drive to get better. So next time, I would be the person getting that job. Didn't get it the next time, try again. There's so many artists, and I was the same when I started. I quit my job, and I was like, I can draw. I've drawn my whole life. But I didn't draw for those 8 years when I was doing graphic design. And when I actually sat down and sort of I'm going to be an illustrator and drew a picture, I was like, man, I suck. And it was just that sort of progression of knowing where you are and where you want to get to. When I started out, I was like, I'm going to walk into all these jobs. I can draw. And then you get out there and you see the competition that you have. Like what Dirk said, what have I got to do to be that 1% to get those jobs? And
they don't tell you that. It's by the way, a lot of other people draw too. They don't really mention a lot of other people want to be actors and singers, and it's like, okay, this sucks, man. There's a whole lot of these people.
The worst one
that's actually the one thing that we all have in common. You throw out politics. I mean, you throw out your background. Did you grow up with money, the with or without? You throw out all that. Do you have talent? Do you have a love for what you do? And do you have the drive to see it through? And what I found was, I didn't grow up going, I want to be a logo designer when I grow up. That wasn't what I thought. But it's fun. Like, I like doing logo design. I enjoy it. Like, it's not like, oh, it's a project, it's graphics, I have to do it. It's like, no, it's fun to do. And I get paid good money to do it. And if I didn't, I wouldn't have been able to do an Irish beer, Warbeard Irish Red. When I did the the design of the logo for that one, it paid off a Volvo. So it's like, you kind of forget. It's like sometimes you get the cool, fun projects that you're like, oh, I'm going to do another logo today. And then it ends up being the fun stuff. Sometimes the fun stuff pays better than anything else. And that's when I started realizing, wait a second, I should try to do comics again. I should try to do the stuff that I want to do. And sure enough, it led to a comic strip where I do a daily comic strip for another client. And the only reason why he knew that I did that was because he saw me as his logo designer and his graphic designer for his branding and stuff, but then would see the stuff that made me really happy behind the scenes. He's like, wait a second, why don't I weaponize the talent with the guy that I have and put his work out there for something he loves? Because I know he will do it from a place of love, so he will continually do it. And when you do it, then there's no burnout. You don't get burned out doing good stuff. Like, you just feel good at it. You're like, I know I've done good work. I know I've given it everything I have. And I think that's why Bat in the Sun hit comic book fans so distinctly in the heart, rather than just going like, is it the perfect this? Is it the perfect that? It's like, no, they're doing a really good job on that stuff, but it's a good story and they care about what the fans think. And they're even doing like the beatdowns where they're taking fan votes. Like, they're finding out what people actually want. And unfortunately, our industry with comic books themselves, they don't do that. And they wonder why they're tanking. It's a disaster simply because they're not asking the fans. So the fact that you guys have gone out of your ways to make those movies to just care about the fans from a fan perspective, dude, there's a reason why you have 2.5 million followers on YouTube. That's insane. That is not an accident. I mean, some of the biggest YouTubers in comics, like, I can tell you who the biggest YouTuber is in comics, and he has half of what you guys have, and he was an artist for 25 years and made $2 million in the last 2 years just in his own indie comics. And so when you see that you guys literally have twice the reach, that developed because people genuinely knew that you loved it. You can tell when people care. And Kayla, it's like when you see a bad performance, you're just like, they don't buy into it. They don't buy into the character. You can see when it's wrong. It's just like when you saw, when people would tell you, oh, you have to lose weight. And you were just like, but I'm fit enough to be Wonder Woman. Why would I have to lose weight? Guys, anybody that's watching this podcast right now or watching it later, she was a model in Maxim, right? Like, weren't you like a Maxim? Like, you did like a lot of like modeling shots. Mm-hmm. You did shots for product shots. You did like a lot of product modeling. And these are shots where you have to look pretty perfect. And so when they come back with Hollywood and like, oh, you got to lose weight, I kind of scratch my head and go, like, at what point is that no longer fun?
I'm just like, why does that matter?
Yeah, exactly. Like, do what you love to do. But if you're good enough to play college tennis, there's just zero chance you're overweight. So we all know, we can see through it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we get it that it's crap. Like Dirk, he was having to put on weight to be Arnold. Well, if you're going to play Arnold, yeah, you got to put on a ton of weight, because that's not just a character. That was a specific point in Arnold's life where he was so big that he now, when he ever tries to play the character again, has to jack up like crazy. He has to put on a lot of pounds, a lot of mass. And other than that, you kind of go, can't an actor just be an actor? Like, can't they just like develop the character? And, because Michael Keaton was an awesome Batman, but he wasn't big enough to be Batman. Like, the guy's a really small guy. That's camera magic. Dude, he's in way better shape now than he was then. He's actually in pretty great shape now.
He is in great shape right now.
These guys that are older actors, I'm just stunned. Like Halle Berry, she tore up in John Wick. Like, that's when you're seeing people who are so dedicated, and they're like in their 50s and 60s. You're like, I suck at everything. You guys are amazing. Like, I am Stay Puft, but I get to sit here and draw pretty pictures. The thing is, I might be drawing those pretty pictures for 12 hours a night. And so when somebody goes, well, you're lazy or whatever, I kind of look at them like, really? Because I fell on concrete when I was an athlete, and I couldn't feel one of my legs for a while. And it's cool to be able to feel both your legs. It's really cool to be able to walk. But you're still eating like an athlete. So you gain a bunch of weight. And what I found, as Dirk will attest to, is somebody who just went through an accident and suddenly you're basically sitting down all the time and there's not much you can do. Because I saw the pins in your leg in that video. It's like, whoa, what the? Okay, serious accident when they're pinning up your leg together, and they're basically like, it looks like you were smiling in it, and if you didn't have family in it, I honestly would have thought that picture was on a Hollywood set, because I'm like, no one should be smiling with a busted hand and a torn up leg. I'm like, this dude got hurt real bad, and I'm actually glad you're okay. But when you're suddenly on your butt and you're going like, what do I do? When you care about putting out good content, when you care about putting out good art, it just drives you another way. You just go, I will find another route to put this out. Kevin, you did the best Punisher on film. You just did. I'm just one guy's opinion. It was the best Punisher on film. There are not enough people who have understood how to get that character, someone who is kind of bigger and is somebody that is like, I'm a fighter, like I'm a real fighter. I was a real soldier. And you just saw this guy is like, I've got this role. I watched that and I was like, this guy could play it in any film.
Yeah.
Any film. If you put the right director in him at any level, behind him doing that same thing, different script or whatever, they could create a completely different Punisher with different writers and a different director. But the actor felt right. And the director, for what you guys are doing, always feels right because he goes, what do the fans want first? You guys are awesome. You made us the best show we could have for our first show because they were real people that we got to say thank you to. Kevin, I am now backer, let's see, Batman Dying is Easy on Indiegogo. I'm backer 1383. So, guys, if you're listening to this video later, please check out Batman Dying is Easy. Throw down on that. Give these guys some love. Kayla, Dirk, Connor, Kevin, you guys are amazing. If there's anything else you want to say to each other, I'm going to sign off as far as what I'm doing. Joe, this has been a hell of a first cast, and I'm going to quiet down. I am so excited about Comics Cast. This is cool.
Excellent, guys. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
All right, James, step down off of the soapbox. Go ahead. Go ahead, Connor.
I just want to say to Kevin, if he could do more M. Bison.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge Street Fighter fan.
Oh, yeah.
It is probably my all-time favorite video game. So when I saw his recent Chun-Li and Bison sit down in the shrink, I was like, yeah, that's... So I need more M. Bison. Especially if you say, for me, it was Tuesday. Because that's like the iconic line from the really bad Street Fighter movie back in the 90s. So,
oh, I love that movie. Don't hate.
Was it Raul Julia? I think it was who played him. It was absolutely brilliant.
So just for everyone's essay, I think Kevin does not have his mic is not working at this point. So it's not that he's ignoring the show. Signals? Anyone? But yeah, on that note, I do want to thank Kevin and Dirk and Kayla and Connor. I want to thank everyone who's been on this show. You guys absolutely are fantastic for doing the show. So talking about, everyone talked about sort of their dream and everything like that. And maybe I've said it a couple of times, but I'm going to say it again. I really do believe doing the thing that you're passionate about and that you love. I've been in the military for 15 years. But I've never stopped drawing. I've never stopped thinking about ways to take care of my family. But also, I just love to draw, and I want to keep drawing until the day I die. And I think there's a lot of other people that are like that in whatever your creative outlet is. And so I came up with this with other founding members about 2 weeks ago, this idea of Comics Cast and the Artist Roundtable and Fan Art in the Morning, as well as highlighting actual comic book creators that are indie book creators, as well as other indie creators in general, and creating a medium that is literally just there. All right, my wife fixed me. She said 14 years. All right, so 14 years, not 15. It feels like 28, but that's fine. But creating this medium, this platform that allows special media attention across all indie creators, anywhere, no matter where you are, no matter what country you're in, to have us all sit across each other and talk about how different we are and also how unified we are in just being creators and love what we do. And I think number one, it'll help motivate new creators. It'll give expectations. Old creators can get re-inspired, and then just put that face out there for all the creators that are all over the world. And so that you and I can meet each other, and then the world can see you too, that maybe you've always had a mask on for every single one of your roles, or your stuff is going up, and we've seen your artwork, but we've never known your face. So this is that platform, and I really love the fact that you guys allowed, and you were so gracious to do the first episode across YouTube, and this Artist Roundtable I think was a huge success, even with some technical difficulties. But I love that you guys were all on here, and I really appreciate you, and I'll keep following you, and I'll keep telling everyone else to follow you because you guys are all awesome. So on that note, I'm going to sign off, and hopefully we'll see you guys again soon. And all right, guys, I go to Peace Town.
Thank you.
Thank you.